This video will contain spoilers. It's rare that I get to do this. Rarely has a game so captured my spirit of exploration that I just can't put it down, but Starfield has been that game for me. Clocking in at over 30 hours to finish the main story, with some distractions along the way, this was something very special. But Starfield isn't a perfect game, anyone could tell you that, but this is a game that I believe will be played and talked about for years to come because of what it does right. What it misses, and what I feel that either could be forgotten with time or fixed by the modding community. So let's dive into my review for Starfield. Starfield's main story is stupid, but I love it anyway. I've been debating this in my head with my issues with the story either being chalked up to just multiverse fatigue or just a lack of any real stakes that multiverse's stories tend to present. For me, in my main story, Sarah is the one who got killed, and those ramifications are felt very profoundly up until the moment that she's revealed to be the emissary, one of the Starborn, and, basically our other selves from other universes. And that impact for me is weakened again when I started my journey as a Starborn to go in and speak with her again alive and well, but also back in time where everything kind of got reset. It's all kind of just conveniently confusing in my personal take. So that's kind of what I mean by low stakes. Now, that's not to say that I didn't enjoy these characters, their interactions, their personal stories, and that's also not to say that I didn't enjoy my time and discovery of said story. But it feels like 10 years ago, everyone said, what if we all just, did a multiverse? That'd be cool. And it was, until it wasn't. And that's what I mean by multiverse fatigue. I don't know if you guys feel that same way. I'd love to hear your thoughts just on that topic alone. Now, maybe more will come to pass with each timeline that I play through and as I step back into the infinite and see what happens, what changes, and see if my questions and concerns about the issues that I've had with the Starborn and their motivations, does that get resolved? Does that change with time? Or is that just something that is trying to introduce some form of drama to the overall situation? Do you choose to stay in your own universe? Or do you choose to enter into the infinite of the multiverse? But regardless, I'll let you know if my opinions on this change down the road as I play through the story more and more, as I jump into the side stories more and more. But beyond the main story, we brought up the side stories. These are, I think, the most interesting quests in the game. The discovery on this massive universe that is going on, and it's what's going to keep me coming back to this game for years and years to come. This is where the game shines. Its quests can really start off small, but they evolve into something else, something new, something mysterious, some new discovery that Starfield is flooded with at every turn. But this also brings into question the nature of video game stories. For example, you might really enjoy endless possibilities of a multiverse, or you could feel like there's perhaps a better story about humanity's discovery, that they're the only sentient life in the universe, and what that really truly means, despite our human struggles and weaknesses, where we choose to go, to war over making peace, and the cost of all of that on the systems and the people that are contained within. There's a lot of opportunity in this universe that Starfield has built, and it's something that I'm really excited to see now that my journey truly isn't over. And that's the interesting aspect of what this game truly brings, the infinite possibilities of what's going to unfold over the next decade. Now, I can understand a lot of frustration voiced Starfield's way regarding the loading screens and the many loading screens between you and the gameplay. Jump into a star system, see if something happens in space. If nothing happens, or if you resolve whatever the space conflict is, then you choose to land on a planet, and then you run to your destination, most likely not necessarily running into much, which I actually kind of enjoyed the solitude because that kind of feels more natural, but at the same time, I get it, you're playing a game. Anyhow, then you eventually resolve the thing that you were walking towards, that thing happens, and then you rinse and repeat. Jump, resolve the issue, land, talk to person. Now, this is where No Man's Sky's comparison, I think, are very apt. While I've been asked, should you or do I prefer No Man's Sky or Starfield, my answer is easily Starfield because of the RPG and the characters. But No Man's Sky feels more like a survival exploration game, and both are very strong games, but they're just not the same game. I get that space game makes you think of, hey, it does this. But let's just tell it how it is. No Man's Sky truly delivers on that space planet exploration, and I feel like Starfield would benefit from having that same kind of system in the long run. It doesn't, and that is something that I can understand people's frustrations with, but I think both are still incredibly good games, different games, and I personally prefer Starfield over No Man's Sky. But if you guys would like to see me continue playing No Man's Sky, I think that would be very good for me to have a better understanding of that game. Sound off in the comments below, because based off of how you guys respond, that's how I choose to prioritize what games I stream and cover here on the channel. If I was able to ask one question to the development team, I'd love to know if No Man's Sky was ever their inspiration for what they wanted to do with Starfield, but because of technical limitations or just time, that they ended up going with this design decision. And that's what these all end up being. I'm a software dev. All of these are design decisions put up on a board and then put into work. So I'm actually kind of hopeful. I hope that Starfield, based off of its success and its sales and how it's received actually across the gaming spectrum, regardless of people's frustrations voiced on the internet, overall, you can't say Starfield was anything but successful. I'm hoping that maybe additional games or additional DLC or additional mods bring in and change some of how all that works together. Maybe one day, but today obviously isn't that day. Now, all right, enough about what gripes I have with this game, because they don't really truly reflect the amount of joy. Even the bugs have made me laugh in this game, and honestly, they don't bother me, which is kind of fun in the long run. But I did enjoy the theme, or as Todd Howard has stated multiple times, the tone of the game. Personally, I'm not a big post-apocalyptic fan, so when people say this is Fallout in space, I didn't vibe with Fallout as a video game. It's not really kind of my bread and butter, but I like the game and the world and the lore that has been set up here. I like the possibilities of Starfield's universe and humanity taking to the stars. Some of that story and the cost of what it took to developing the grav drives in this game and what actually then happened to Earth was spectacular. The highlight of this game for me was the NASA mission. It was top tier. And then when you look at the other missions filled with puzzles and different ways to solve them, no playthrough of this game is the same. And it shows that I've been able to talk with you guys about this on streams, saying or seeing chat say, oh, this is different. That's awesome. And that leads to years and years of enjoyment and discussion and discovery about this game. That also could be a negative for some people out there, feeling like you got to put countless amounts of hours to truly get the experience that you're looking for out of the game. We could bring up Final Fantasy 15 as a good example. You have to consume so much extra media from Final Fantasy 15 to truly understand the story. The counterpoint here, the good point here, is that all that extra stuff is in the game. It's not outside the game. So I think tip of the hat to Starfield for that. Now, regarding gameplay, I felt the gameplay was a blast. The first-person shooter aspect wasn't Call of Duty in space. It wasn't as tight as that shooter, but the gunplay I found both fun and engaging, and at times very challenging. I enjoyed leveling up and unlocking higher upgrades by using the perks and the challenges associated with that perk in question, and I love that everything that was giving me XP, and I love that I've only seen a small percentage of what is possible in this game. I never built an outpost. I barely even upgraded my ship, and yet I feel there is so much more for me to discover if I choose to discover it. Oh, and we have to mention this. The soundtrack and the audio design of this game is insane. They nailed it. The sound design and the physics of gravity, both when you're running through the environments, but also how your weapons interact with gravity too. It's those little touches that really show a level of detail that you can only find in Bethesda games. Starfield being on Game Pass, to me, is the best way I can recommend this game, or any game from Microsoft's vast array of development studios and ever-growing list of development studios. If you want to spend money on this game, I always try to shoot for $1 per hour of fun, or joy in this case. So at $70, you'd need to, or at least I need to get another 40 hours out of this game to truly hit that marker. Or if I just played via Game Pass, I'd already be there twice over. Price has an impact on how someone can feel about a game. With life and budgets and debt, these things can weigh on you. That's why I always try to remind people the best thing you can do for you is to pay off your debts and live debt free. My wife and I did that. We paid off $100,000 in debt, and it's game changing. You too can do it. It's absolutely worth it, but it's not an easy fight to go up against all the programming that these trillion-dollar banks and corporations have been spending on their marketing campaigns to try and keep you down. I think it's a personal mission of mine to encourage you to get free and live free and be free. And those things I think would change both how you enjoy video games, but just how you enjoy your day-to-day life. Now, if you have any questions, comments, need help, sound off in the comments, jump into the Discord. We're always here to encourage you in that case. But beyond that, I think back to the Starfield review, it's a great escape from the problems of this world. It's fun for me to play this game for the most part because I can play this around the kids. Now, it's not a game for kids. It's rated M, so there are parts that I didn't let the kids kind of hang out and watch. But overall, running around, playing this game, I found a lot of fun and a lot of time that I was able to play this game with the family, which is important when we compare this to something like Cyberpunk 2077. That is a game that I could only play once all the kids are in bed, and I know that they're going to stay in bed, and that's not very often that happens. Any parents who are watching this video probably very well know that challenge in life. So just that's a good example that Starfield feels like a game that if the kids walked in, it's not difficult to hit that start button and pause and not have to worry about what was on screen. Anyway, it's easy, and hopefully you get out of this whole video that I highly recommend Starfield. I paid for this game regardless of having it on Game Pass, and I don't regret that one bit. In fact, I'm going to keep playing this game while I still have a lot of other games in my backlog this year to continue to play through. I'm going to finish Final Fantasy 16 next. Baldur's Gate 3 is still on there. Hogwarts Legacy is still on there. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is still on my backlog. There's so many games that I'm looking forward to sitting down and playing, and then that is going to, I think, add into the overall view and variety of what is out there. Like I said, Starfield isn't a perfect game, but it doesn't, in my mind, need to be. I think it has beauty in its flaws, and I, again, highly encourage people to check it out. But most likely, especially if you're on the fence or if you're on a budget, Game Pass is a good option to be able to jump into this game or any other game that you might not have yet to experience. So that's my recommendation, and thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much for watching this video. My name is Brian, this is Ginger Prime, and I really appreciate you. If you guys are a part of the returning subscribers, thank you guys so much for pushing the channel to over 75,000. It really means a lot. If you feel like the video earns it, hit that like button. And beyond that, if you guys want to help me out, I'm a stand-up comedian, and I've been challenged to grow my Instagram by 1,000 followers, or up to 1,000 followers. Thank you so much for those of you who've hit that follow button over on Instagram. It is important, apparently a really important networking tool for comics, as I'm learning the industry, and I do appreciate that level of support. If you choose to follow the top link in the description, thank you so much. Outside of that, I just wish you all the best. Thanks so much for being here. I look forward to seeing you, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video. But until then, take care.